Now, the construction mafia, coupled with the lack of economic growth, is having a devastating effect on the building industry. This was revealed at the Master Builders South Africa Annual Congress in Cape Town. The organization's president says the preferential procurement framework and BEE are also stifling the industry's ability to grow. Ayesha Ismail reports.
Crime, slow economic growth and the COVID-19 pandemic are some of the factors which have constrained the building industry.
There is a slight decline in the investment in construction industry. And that's why we will want to strengthen the engagement with the Masters Builders South Africa, which is quite an important association. We are also working hard to stimulate the industry. Through Infrastructure South Africa, we've got a bankable pipeline of projects that are finalized now, shovel ready, and we would want those projects to be rolled out throughout the country. We are also working, packaging other projects that we would want to include in the next declaration as part of strategic integrated projects, the SIPs.
But one cannot talk about construction without referencing the so-called construction mafia.
This thing is worrying us, and that's why we are dealing with it through police. The unit within the police is dealing with these criminal activities. But also we've established a facilitation unit which deals with facilitation, because one of the reasons that is always said is that big companies, they get jobs and then they come with subcontractors from other areas, and those subcontractors will be not from the localities. And that affects, because we must ensure economic distribution in the country.
The president of Master Builders South Africa says the challenges facing the industry must be addressed urgently.
Top of the list is the economic growth within the industry. Our contribution to GDP in 2016 was 148 billion rands. And last year, 2022, our contribution was 108. And you could see, you could make your maths, and you could see that we're going south as an industry, in terms of contribution.
What do you attribute this decline to?
Well, number one, it would be the lack of economic growth within the country. And number two is a site invasion, which you get the so-called construction mafia invading sites, and people are stopping to build, and some of the big construction companies are scared of taking site. Of course, then we had the COVID-19 pandemic between 2020 and 2021. That was another factor. And in general, we have the corruption within various sectors of government and within the construction sector as well, and lack of payments. Those are five challenges that we're facing at the moment.
He says while the preferential procurement framework is a noble idea to enable disadvantaged sectors, the problem is its means of execution hasn't been properly communicated to communities and the private sector.
That's the reason we end up having people that saw an opportunity to abuse the act going on site and demanded 30%, while the 30% was for localization, that if one construction company is awarded a contract, 30% of the total contract, 30% of products that will be used in the construction of that particular product should come from locals, and 30% of labor should come from locals. And people started to misunderstand it for their own benefit.
He adds BEE also needs to be managed properly because only a selected few are currently benefiting. Ayesha Ismail, Cape Town.